Next up, Lynn from ZUZU Hospitality Solutions.
Good afternoon, everyone. We are ZUZU from Singapore. We offer revenue management as an outsourced service for independent hotels. There are about 20,000 independent hotels here in the US. Globally, there's more than 20 times that number, over 350,000 hotels. Put yourself in the feet of the general manager of a small hotel. Your primary objective, the reason you joined this industry, is to deliver a fantastic hospitality experience to your guest. You have to run operations on a day-to-day basis. You have to figure out your housekeeping, look after your maintenance. You probably didn't join the hotel industry because you loved yield management. But occasionally, you have to think about yield management. You have to think about how you're pricing your hotel, where you're distributing it, so as to maximize the potential revenue of your property. For a little property, 100-room property, $100 ADR, the backbone of the global travel industry, your revenue will be about $2 million, and your gross operating profit will typically be about $600,000. Getting yield management right can double that. You can boost your occupancy, and you can boost your ADR, so it's a really, really important thing for a hotel to do right. Yet, only about 1 in 10 hotels use any sort of yield management, revenue management software. Why is this? Well, the first thing is it's really damn complex. You've got to think about product, your rate plans, you have advanced purchase rates, you have last-minute rates, you've got to think about all the different promotional opportunities that all the different channels present, and then you've got to think about your price. Do you use market data? Do you use historical data? Do you use your own occupancy? So there's a lot of complexity here. And there's also a lot of complexity on the distribution side. We hear an awful lot that there's a duopoly between these two great companies. That is, to a certain extent, true, but it ignores the fact that in Asia, at least, there's an awful lot of other companies that absolutely dominate their home markets. So there's not 2 channels that are important, there's a bunch of them, and there's all that complexity that you've got to get right. Beyond complexity, it's also really expensive to hire a fantastic revenue manager. If you've got a gross operating profit of $600,000, spending $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 on a revenue manager to actually use some of this software and do this stuff right is just not feasible. So it's complex and it's expensive. So what's our solution? It's 2 things. 1, it's software, and 2, service. We think you have to have those 2 things. You've got to put those 2 things together. And what makes us unique is that we do the work for the hotel. So let's talk a little bit about our software first of all. It's an integrated platform that does everything through 1 login. Well, that's important because small hotels do not want to log into 3, 4, 5 different pieces of technology. It starts with an insight analytics system that's pulling competitive rates like an OTA insight. That will then feed into a simple revenue management system that our team predominantly use. That then flows automatically into a channel management system to push those rates and availability out. And then those bookings flow back into a simplified property management system for the hotel to use. An all-in-one solution, so you don't have to deal with multiple pieces of technology, you don't have to deal with integrations, you don't have to pay anything, we manage all the onboarding. But the second piece is the service. You get a dedicated revenue manager. They're one of our employees, they sit in our office, but they know your hotel inside out, and they know how to maximize revenue in your hotel. They also sit with all of our other revenue managers. Today, we have more than 30, sharing best practices and ideas, making sure that you, as an individual independent hotel, get the sort of network benefits and scale benefits that traditionally a chain hotel would have had with revenue managers working together. They're working today on more than 500 hotels. So again, we get to pull together data about a lot of other things that are happening in the market beyond your individual hotel. That network effect lets us do a more sophisticated approach to revenue management than an independent hotel would normally be able to do. We can take the pricing and demand data from a network of hotels, operate an efficient hypothesis test and learn approach, and then even build simple regression models. That's where we are today. And next, we go to machine learning models as we build more and more scale into this network. Let's look at the results. So from a pure cost basis, think about the traditional model. The traditional model, you hire that revenue manager for 30 to 70,000. You buy a bunch of different softwares, whether it's a PMS, a revenue management system, a analytics solution for another 10,000 at least on top of that. That's 40 to 80,000. Our model is less than a quarter of that cost. We take a typically simple revenue share of just a couple of points on the business that we manage for our hotels, or we can take a fixed fee if the hotelier prefers it. More importantly than the cost side is the revenue side. Prior to working with us versus after working with us, the 500 hotels that we've worked with, we've delivered an average 28% uplift in revenue, paying for our solution by 8 to 10 times. We started with our very first hotel in Indonesia. That was about 2 years ago. We've now grown to more than 500 hotels across the greater Southeast Asian region. Singapore, our home base, Thailand, and Taiwan today. The team is led by myself and my co-founder, Vikram. We have extensive experience building online travel agencies in Asia Pacific. Our CTO is Girish. He built machine learning solutions for sentient technologies. And our head of data science is Ziming, who built machine learning solutions for the Monetary Authority of Singapore. We are ZUZU Hospitality Solutions. We deliver revenue management as a service, and we are looking forward to being in this region soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Right on time. Dragons?
Jim and I both own hotels, and both of our revenue managers are sitting in your office. How do you keep us feeling good about it?
So most of the hotels we work with today don't have a revenue manager when we start working with them. So we're taking an overstretched GM and adding this huge new capability to the hotel. For a hotel that already has a revenue manager and maybe wants to use us as an alternative, you've got a platform that's fully integrated, so you can see what we're doing. You can see the history of every little decision, every little thought we've made. It's all logged, so you can always look at everything. You can WhatsApp us, and it integrates into our system. So we have a high communication, high-touch model.
So that negates the risk of our two revenue managers going out for drinks after work, or you know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like we should be competing with one another.
Yeah, I mean, look, we don't aspire to work with 350,000 hotels. You know, if we can work with 10,000 hotels, we have a phenomenal business. So we're not really going to ever be in the situation where we're competing directly against us, and we would never sign up hotels if we felt like we were not going to be able to deliver incremental value to them because we were just competing with ourselves.
Mm-hmm. Right. Thank you.
So first, I like any company that promises an uplift in revenue. That's near and dear to my heart. But more to the point, is this a pay-for-performance model? Do you do pay-for-performance models for the hotels, or is it all just a pure service model?
It's a service model. We basically say to the hotels, if we don't deliver that within 3 months, then please fire us. There's no upfront cost, so it's pretty low risk for the hotel to go with that.
So then I get a little worried always about something when somebody puts up the slide of 350,000 hotels, and I just need X, and I guess you're at about 500, which is great. But how do you really, absent a giant sales force like TravelClick or Expedia or one of these others, how do you get those? Because as you know, it's really tough going. I mean, congratulations on getting to 500, but you've got a long way to go.
Yeah, I mean, our sales model is a direct sales model. We have salespeople out there talking to hotels. Our customer acquisition cost is just under $1,000 per hotel. That's scaled from having 2 salespeople up to about 15 today. We can keep scaling that to an extent, and it's just, we plot out 3 years, and we can get to 5,000, 10,000 under that model. And we haven't seen any indication yet, as we've scaled, that those customer acquisition costs start to spike.
It's such an interesting opportunity in Southeast Asia, and you and I have talked before. And how do you think about other players that are taking this asset-light approach, but taking a bigger bite of the apple, like Red Doors and others? I mean, are they going to, if they begin to win in your category, are they going to make it tougher for you, or do you think you have an advantage over them?
I think there's 2 different models, and I think both can work. So the Red Doors model and the OYO model are much more about taking over a hotel, running the operations, delivering a wholly branded experience. And that's a great way of building a modern budget hotel operating company. I think what we're saying is there's going to be an awful lot of hoteliers who want their own brand, want to run their own hotels, love being hospitality folks, and we can add a yield management capability that you'd normally only get in a chain hotel to those folks.
Great.
Have you had any conversations with companies like Revenate and others that are providing different parts of the IT stack to tens of thousands of hotels?
Yes, I hope to be able to integrate some part of a solution like that into our offering. Yep.
Thank you very much, Dan.
Thank you.
Thank you.